I am really happy and grateful that I have been invited to speak at this inaugural meeting, which I feel is actually a historical meeting because of the subject that the members have chosen. The subject of putting people first is really critical at this point in time in my personal and professional experience, not least because, at least for Africa, when our governments, our countries, our people were fighting for freedom, political freedom, they were looking at political freedom, economic emancipation, and then the development of the people on democratic basis. And somehow now, my country, Tanzania, for instance, we are celebrating 60 years of flag freedom in December, a whole 60 years. But when we look at what has happened, we seem to have lost the people. We just have government people, politicians, political organizations, etc., debating about development and people hungry for that development. So somehow, somewhere, we actually have lost the people. And this, for me, is a great opportunity to look to see what would it take to put people back, to reimagine that process, and then put people back on the development agenda. Secondly, for me, I was, and I'm very impressed and energized, inspired by the fact that an institute of government auditors is interested to know what it would take to put people first. Why do I say that? It's because in my experience, especially in working with public institutions for about 3 decades of my work with the United Nations, I honestly have come to realize that many times, especially at local governance level, when we have supported the conducting of audits, we have found corruption to be a very easy thing to happen, especially when people are not involved. Because at the local level, people know exactly what is going on, but there seem to be no mechanisms for involving the people so that they can take ownership and then take people, government people and politicians, make them accountable, so that by the time the auditors come, you are finding institutions which are alive, rather than auditing becoming a process of post-mortem of dead governmental institutions. So on that basis, I'm really excited to be able to share both my professional knowledge as well as working experience on what it would take for people to be put first. Let me add, actually, that the process of taking people first, also putting people first, this process of putting people first has actually forced me to also look at who are the people, who are we, and who are we exactly, and I would like during the presentation to actually look at who is a person, what is the body, what is the mind, what is the spirit, how do these things come to bear on what a person is. And because my hosts are auditors, how making sure that the whole person is taken into account, that we have mechanisms for making sure our people discover and unleash their highest potential, is a critical element in enabling people to also take responsibility, not only for their lives, but for taking themselves and their leaders accountable. So there will be those 3 main components, looking at what it would take, what are the prerequisites of basically of social justice, and secondly, who are these people that we are talking about, you and I, And thirdly, what do we know from theoretical underpinnings as well as systems thinking approaches? What do we know about what it would take to put people first? So that is really what my presentation is going to be focusing on.